Hello and welcome to Team Counterculture's Discography Rankings. I'm Laura Ingram. And this is Sarah Palin, Michele Bachmann, Ann Coulter, Megyn Kelly, Marjorie Green, Lauren Boebert, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Paris Hilton, Alex Trebek, Pat Sajak, Vanna White, Ken Jennings, James Holzhauer, Brad Rutter, Anne Frank, Mindy McCready, Greta Thunberg, Ponyboy Curtis, Soda Pop Curtis, Derry Curtis, Steve Randall, Two-Bit Matthews, Dally Winston, Johnny Cade, Phileas Fogg, Megan Phelps Roper, Ellen Ripley, Jeanette McCurdy, Miranda Cosgrove, Archie Bunker, Lionel Frost, and Archibald Snatcher. We are also joined today by special guest and fellow imaginary friend Ahmed Omar. He's the youngest of a small group of emos who hang out with us sometimes, and while he knows that 21 Pilots isn't actually emo, he still thinks they're a great band. I bring this up because today we're ranking the discography of 21 Pilots, starting with their first album, 21 Pilots. How this is going to work is that we're each going to review the album and then say where it ranks for us so far, so we'll let Ahmed start since he's the guest.
Oh, misbeliever, my pretty sleeper, your twisted mind is like snow on the road.
Thanks Laura, and thanks for having me on the channel. Anyway, I've been a fan of 21 Pilots since Vessel came out. They just make such emotional and interesting music. I'll be honest, I didn't hear the self-titled until after Blurryface came out and more people started talking about the band. Once I did hear it though, I really enjoyed it. It has some really unique ideas, even by the standards of 21 Pilots. Songs like Fall Away, Johnny Boy, and Trapdoor almost sound like they have some classical elements, which I'd normally find boring, but here it sounds super interesting and different. Those are some of my favorites, but other favorites include Friend, Please, which is the band's first anti-suicide song, Taxi Cab, which has one of the most well-written endings I've ever heard, Isle of Flightless Birds, which completely defies genre, The Pantaloon, and March to the Sea, which have some of the band's best storytelling, the beautiful 1-2 punch of Oh Ms. Believer and Aircatcher, the artful Akara Torch of Death, the explosive opener Implicit Demand for Proof, and the wonderful fan-favorite Addict with a Pen. Yup, I just mentioned every song on here except Before You Start Your Day, which is admittedly pretty generic. What can I say? The self-titled is great. 9 out of 10.
Okay then. I'll go next since I'm a sucker for genre blending and 21 Pilots are the kings of blending unexpected genres together. I agree with Ahmed that this is their most unique album to date, but I also can't help but feel like the production and vocals are a bit rough around the edges. Songs like Aircatcher and Fall Away have beautiful instrumentation that gets ruined by Tyler Joseph's annoying singing. That said, Oh Ms. Believer is gorgeous in every way possible. I love the darker sound on Trapdoor, the emotionality of Addict with a Pen and Friend, Please is great, Isle of Flightless Birds is a genre-bending masterpiece, and the incredibly well-written A Torch of Death and Taxi Cab just work for me. March to the Sea and The Pantaloon are also great, if only because I love storytelling songs. So yeah, there are plenty of great songs on here, but even they have no shortage of flaws. Well, except Oh Ms. Believer. Unfortunately, songs like Johnny Boy, Implicit Demand for Proof, and Before You Start Your Day are kind of boring. 8 out of 10, it's a great album, but I also feel like Tyler Joseph was still finding his sea legs at this point.
If Johnny Boy is boring, then my favorite genre is bro country.
Your favorite genre is bro country? Wow, I was hoping our first guest would have better taste.
Very funny.
I'll take over before things get out of hand. Unlike Ahmed and without the E here, I haven't listened to much 21 Pilots outside of a few singles, none of which were on this album. So I had no familiarity with this self-titled prior to listening to it for this video. After listening to it, I am pleasantly surprised by it. I thought it would sound like a demo, and it does, but it's a surprisingly good demo. Songs like Oh Ms. Believer, Aircatcher, March to the Sea, Addict with a Pen, and especially Taxi Cab are just beautiful, not to mention deep. That said, I'm not a big fan of Tyler's rapping on any of these songs. It sounds like he's trying to be Macklemore, which isn't a compliment. It ruins songs like Fall Away for me. I agree with, and that Before You Start Your Day and Implicit Demand for Proof are pretty boring. The Pantaloon and Akara Torch of Death have good storytelling, but sound awful. Johnny Boy is just okay. All of Flightless Birds starts out great but gets ruined by the rapping. Friend, Please is a great anti-suicide song, as is Trapdoor. So yeah, this album isn't great, but I mostly enjoyed it. 7 out of 10.
Thank you, Megan, for putting a stop to whatever that was. Anyway, this album is surprisingly solid. I didn't know what to expect going into it, but now that I've heard it, I must say that the Baroque pop elements are quite beautiful. Songs like OM's Believer, Aircatcher, Johnny Boy, and Taxicab are absolutely stunning. Fall Away, Trapdoor, and Addict with a Pen are also great musically. And Isle of Flightless Birds is in fact a genre-bending masterpiece. Friend Please has a uniquely icy sound that I loved, and the Pantaloon and March to the Sea had some great storytelling. Also, Justice for Implicit Demand for Proof. That song deserves better reviews. The only songs I don't care for are A Car, a Torch, a Death, which has great writing that gets ruined by what sounds like a dog whistle blasting in my ear, and Before You Start Your Day, which is admittedly pretty boring. 9 out of 10, this album is surprisingly fantastic.
Wow, I'll take unexpected musical opinions for 200, Alex.
Please do me a favor and either be quiet or talk about the album.
Well, I don't want to be quiet, so I'll review this album. It's really boring. Songs like Implicit Demand for Proof, Fall Away, The Pantaloon, and Addict with a Pen are all really boring. And those are the first 4 songs on this album. It doesn't stop being boring from there. Because March to the Sea, Johnny Boy, Oh Misbeliever, Trapdoor, Taxicab, Before You Start Your Day, and Isle of Flightless Birds are all boring as well. Yup, 11 out of the 14 tracks on this album are boring. The only exceptions are Aircatcher, which is actually pretty good, and Friend Please and A Car, a Torch, a Death, which are just annoying. They just sound so ugly and shrill. The album as a whole is an obvious 5 out of 10.
I agree, 2-Bit. Who wants to be quiet? Anyway, my thoughts on the self-titled. This album is mostly pretty good, but it has its flaws. Starting out with the positives, Fall Away and Johnny Boy have interesting instrumentation. The Pantaloon is a great storytelling track, and Taxicab and March to the Sea combine the best parts of this album. The vocals on Omem's Believer are downright gorgeous. I like the piano on Addict with a Pen, Aircatcher is pretty epic sounding, and Isle of Flightless Birds is a masterpiece. That said, A Car, a Torch, a Death is an annoying, pretentious mess. Implicit Demand for Proof and Before You Start Your Day are pretty boring. And the mechanical sound of Friend Please completely ruins the emotionality of it. Trapdoor is just okay. Yeah, I'm siding with Megan with an A on this one. 7 out of 10.
I was hoping that you'd agree with me on how mediocre this album is, but oh well.
Of course she doesn't agree with you, 2-Bit, because you're wrong. The classical elements, the experimentation, and the unique blend of genres make this a masterpiece. Songs like Implicit Demand for Proof, Fall Away, The Pantaloon, Addict with a Pen, March to the Sea, Johnny Boy, Oh Misbeliever, Trapdoor, Taxicab, Before You Start Your Day, and Isle of Flightless Birds are gorgeous. Aircatcher is gorgeous too, but I intentionally left it out of that list to make fun of 2-Bit by listing every song that he called boring. A Car, a Torch, a Death, while not as beautiful, is one of my favorite tracks due to how artistic it feels. Friend Please is the one track I don't like, mainly because I agree that the mechanical synths are a little irritating. Other than that, this album is bloody amazing. 9 out of 10.
Wow, what is this, Troll 2-Bit Day?
That's what you get when you spread misinformation, 2-Bit. Anyway, this is a surprisingly solid debut from 21 Pilots. I love the storytelling on The Pantaloon and March to the Sea. Oh Misbeliever is every bit as gorgeous as you guys have been saying. As is Aircatcher, Isle of Flightless Birds is incredibly unique, and the 1-2 punch of A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Taxicab would probably earn a less mainstream band a ton of critical acclaim. I also think Trapdoor, Addict with a Pen, and Johnny Boy have beautiful instrumentation, and Friend Please is appropriately dark given its subject matter. Fall Away is pretty good, though I feel like the rapping doesn't match the instrumentation. Implicit Demand for Proof is good, but I feel like a few seconds of that intro should have been shaved off. Before You Start Your Day is admittedly boring, though. Overall, it gets a 9 out of 10.
Don't worry, 2-Bit. You're not the only one who doesn't like this album. It has a lot of boring songs, such as Implicit Demand for Proof, Addict with a Pen, Taxicab, Johnny Boy, Oh Ms. Believer, and Before You Start Your Day. It also has a lot of songs that I can't fucking stand, such as the ugly-sounding The Pantaloon and A Car, a Torch, a Death, as well as Fall Away with its shitty Macklemore-ass rapping. March to the Sea and Isle of Flightless Birds are okay, I guess. I will say that Trapdoor, Aircatcher, and Friend, Please are pretty solid in terms of instrumentation. It's just a shame that Tyler Joseph couldn't sing or produce at this point in his career. I also give it a 5 out of 10.
Yay?
Well, your reprieve isn't gonna last, 2-Bit, because I like this album a lot. Johnny Boy mentions me by name, but even if it didn't, it would still be a beautiful song with a great message. Oh Ms. Believer, Addict with a Pen, Aircatcher, and Taxicab are also quite beautiful. Friend, Please is a song I love to listen to when I'm feeling down. March to the Sea has some great storytelling, Trapdoor is delightfully twisted, and Isle of Flightless Birds is a genre-bending masterpiece. A Car, a Torch, A Death and Fall Away are okay. For negatives, Before You Start Your Day and Implicit Demand for Proof are boring, and Tyler's singing on the Pantaloon annoys me. 8 out of 10.
I'm glad you loved it so much, Johnny. But to me, this is the prime example of music that non-hip-hop fans would listen to and call good hip-hop. Meanwhile, those of us who actually know about the genre know that Tyler can't flow. His terrible flow on Fall Away, The Pantaloon, Addict with a Pen, Taxicab, and Isle of Flightless Birds utterly ruins those songs for me. As for the other songs, Before You Start Your Day, March to the Sea, Oh Ms. Believer, and Johnny Boy are boring. Implicit Demand for Proof is all right, but takes too long to get started. A Car, a Torch, A Death has this obnoxious, high-pitched sound that hurts my ears. Friend, Please, and Trapdoor are both passable but get ruined by Tyler's terrible singing, and Aircatcher is good but is prevented from being great for similar reasons. Yeah, this album had potential with some interesting ideas both musically and lyrically, but it can't execute to save its life. 4 out of 10.
Okay, we can all troll Jamal now. He gave it a lower score than I did.
Okay, we will. Jamal, I give your review a 4 out of 10. Anyway, this album is great. Oh Ms. Believer, Implicit Demand for Proof, Johnny Boy, Addict with a Pen, Before You Start Your Day, and Aircatcher are gorgeous. Friend, Please, and Trapdoor are wonderful anti-suicide songs. A Car, a Torch, a Death is extremely well written, and Isle of Flightless Birds and Fall Away are both incredibly unique. My favorite songs on here, however, are the storytelling songs March to the Sea, The Pantaloon, and Taxicab. The stripped-back instrumentation works perfectly for those songs, and the lyrics are immaculate. This is a storyteller's dream of an album, and I love every song on it. 10 out of 10.
Wow, I thought I was gonna have the most positive review of this video. I respect you, Jeanette.
Thanks.
This album is raw, which, as a black metal and hardcore punk fan, I wouldn't mind if it was a stylistic choice, but their later albums prove that it's not. As it is, I can't stand the production on any of these songs. I also can't stand Tyler's singing or rapping. As for the instrumentation, it's got some boring moments such as Implicit Demand for Proof, March to the Sea, Addict with a Pen, Before You Start Your Day, and Johnny Boy. It also has some downright ugly moments such as Fall Away, The Pantaloon, A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Friend, Please. Then there are the good moments that get ruined by Tyler's vocal performances, such as Aircatcher, Trapdoor, Isle of Flightless Birds, and Taxicab. All of these could have been great songs if Tyler could actually sing or rap. The one song that doesn't get ruined is Oh Ms. Believer, which is legitimately excellent. Other than that, I'm not a fan. It's a mixed bag, 5 out of 10.
Well, at least you're not spreading as much misinformation as Jamal. Anyway, this album is great. Fall Away, Johnny Boy, Implicit Demand for Proof, and Isle of Flightless Birds are genre-bending masterpieces. Oh Ms. Believer and Aircatcher are gorgeous. Trapdoor and Friend, Please are delightfully dark and twisted. And the 1-2 punch of A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Taxicab is just deep and perfect. Oh, and The Pantaloon and March to the Sea have some great songwriting. And Addict with a Pen is the fan favorite for a reason. It's so emotional. Before You Start Your Day is admittedly pretty boring, but other than that, I love this album. 9 out of 10.
I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this. I agree that Oh Ms. Believer and Aircatcher are absolutely gorgeous. The emotion behind songs like Addict with a Pen, Trapdoor, and Friend, Please almost made me cry. I loved the storytelling on The Pantaloon and March to the Sea. Isle of Flightless Birds and Fall Away are genre-bending masterpieces, and I agree that A Car, a Torch, A Death and Taxicab is a great 1-2 punch. I even find Implicit Demand for Proof to be beautiful, and Johnny Boy may be my favorite song on the album. Before You Start Your Day was just okay, but one weak point doesn't keep an album from being great. 9 out of 10.
What about 13 weak points?
Fuck off, 2-Bit.
I'll take over before things get out of hand. I had no idea what to expect going into this album, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I love the classical elements on Fall Away, Johnny Boy, Oh Ms. Believer, The Pantaloon, Trapdoor, and Implicit Demand for Proof. Aircatcher is bloody gorgeous, as is Addict with a Pen. The songwriting on March to the Sea, A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Taxicab is amazing, and Isle of Flightless Birds is a genre-bending masterpiece. Before You Start Your Day is just okay, and I find the instrumentation on Friend, Please to be a bit annoying. Other than that, this album is great. 9 out of 10.
I'm glad you love it so much, Lionel, but the self-titled is not my favorite 21 Pilots album, honestly. It's full of boring songs like Before You Start Your Day, Johnny Boy, March to the Sea, and Implicit Demand for Proof. It's also full of ugly songs like Fall Away, The Pantaloon, and Friend, Please. Then there's Tyler's terrible rapping, which utterly ruins Addict with a Pen and Isle of Flightless Birds. Aircatcher, A Car, a Torch, a Death, Taxicab, Trapdoor, and Oh Ms. Believer are actually great, though. It's just a shame that the production and vocals are so rough on this album. It's got enough high points to be okay, but I wouldn't call it good. 6 out of 10.
This was pretty boring. In fact, there were exactly 4 songs on here that weren't boring. Those were Aircatcher, Isle of Flightless Birds, A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Friend, Please. These all range from pretty good to okay in my opinion, except for Aircatcher, which was legitimately great. That song alone elevates this album quite a bit, but before I give my score, I'd just like to point out a flaw that I don't think anyone else has mentioned. This album is trying to be all big, beautiful, and epic with its Baroque pop elements, but honestly, it feels like the exact opposite. The production absolutely kneecaps what this album was going for. Anyway, it barely gets a 6 out of 10.
I was really not a fan of this album. When it wasn't boring, it was terrible. And when it wasn't terrible, it was boring. On the terrible end, there's the annoying Fall Away, The Pantaloon, A Car, a Torch, a Death, Isle of Flightless Birds, and Friend, Please. On the boring end, there's Before You Start Your Day, Trapdoor, Implicit Demand for Proof, Johnny Boy, Addict with a Pen, and March to the Sea. Oh Ms. Believer and Aircatcher are gorgeous though, and I love the second half of Taxicab. Overall, it had its moments, but a lot of it just wasn't good. 5 out of 10.
Well, I'm glad to see 2-Bit is getting some company. I think I'll join him in the my god, this album is boring camp. For me, there were exactly 5 songs that weren't boring, including the 4 Paris mentioned, and I'd throw Oh Ms. Believer on there too. Aircatcher is great, Isle of Flightless Birds, A Car, a Torch, a Death, Oh Ms. Believer, and Friend, Please are all pretty good. Other than that, this album puts me to sleep. I'll be a little nicer than 2-Bit and give it a 6 out of 10.
I'm glad more people are starting to see things my way.
If only more would see things my way.
I thought this album had some interesting musical ideas. That said, the shoddy production and amateurish at best vocals ruined it for me. Songs like Fall Away, Isle of Flightless Birds, and Aircatcher have gorgeous instrumentation that gets utterly destroyed by Tyler's whiny-sounding flow and singing. Johnny Boy, Before You Start Your Day, and Implicit Demand for Proof are so boring. Then there are songs like The Pantaloon, A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Addict with a Pen that just sound awful. March to the Sea is okay, Taxicab is good until you get to the rap verse, and I actually really like Trapdoor, Oh Ms. Believer, and Friend, Please. So yes, it does have some positives, but I'm not a fan of it overall. Mixed bag, 5 out of 10.
I kind of agree with Ellen. This album is interesting musically, but the production and awful vocals ruin so many of these songs for me. Examples include Aircatcher, A Car, a Torch, a Death, The Pantaloon, Addict with a Pen, Isle of Flightless Birds, Fall Away, Implicit Demand for Proof, Trapdoor, Johnny Boy, Taxicab, and Friend, Please. Then there are songs like March to the Sea and Before You Start Your Day, which are just boring to begin with. Oh, Ms. Believer is great though. Best song on this album. Anyway, 5 out of 10.
I respect 21 Pilots a lot. They aren't afraid to try weird genre combinations. They use actual instruments, and their lyrics can be interesting. Unfortunately, a lot of their actual songs get ruined by bad production and their somewhat basic taste in genres. That said, this album is better than most of their albums when it comes to that. The Baroque pop influences on Implicit Demand for Proof, Johnny Boy, Addict with a Pen, Taxicab, Oh Ms. Believer, Fall Away, and Trapdoor are great. March to the Sea is a great storytelling song, as is The Pantaloon. A Car, a Torch, A Death and Isle of Flightless Birds are delightfully artsy, and the icy electronic elements on Friend, Please sound wonderful. Aircatcher is gorgeous, too. Unfortunately, Before You Start Your Day is boring, and Tyler's vocals do hurt the songs a bit. Most of them are great, but not quite 10s outside of Oh Ms. Believer. Still a great album, though. 9 out of 10, albeit a light one.
About time someone else liked this. After the last few reviews, I thought it was just gonna be mixed reviews from here on out.
You're welcome.
Well, Ahmed, you're in luck, because I thought all of this album was gorgeous. Yes, even Before You Start Your Day. Sure, the production isn't great, but for me, that gives it its charm. It is a completely independent record, after all. I could name every single song on here as a favorite because they're all gorgeous, but that would get redundant. Instead, I'll just highlight a few favorites. Friend, Please reminds me of my relationship with Jeanette, A Car, a Torch. A Death is an artistic masterpiece. Aircatcher is a sweet love song. And oh my god, the singing on Oh Ms. Believer is gorgeous. Every song is gorgeous for that matter. 10 out of 10.
Wow, Miranda, you really love this one. I wish I could feel the same way. I just find songs like Implicit Demand for Proof, Johnny Boy, Oh Ms. Believer, March to the Sea, Addict with a Pen, and Before You Start Your Day to be boring. Fall Away, The Pantaloon, and Friend, Please are just plain ugly sounding. Aircatcher is great. I also like the darker sound on Trapdoor, as well as the beats on A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Isle of Flightless Birds. Not to mention the artistic masterpiece that is Taxicab. Yeah, it's a mixed bag, but I'd argue it leans slightly towards the positive. 6 out of 10.
I'm with you, Steve. This album bored me to tears. The only songs that didn't bore me to tears were Aircatcher, though that one gets ruined by Tyler's vocals, as well as A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Isle of Flightless Birds, which are actually great hip-hop songs with catchy beats. Everything else puts me to sleep, and this album gets an extremely light 6 out of 10, only because of those 3 songs I mentioned, though.
There were some songs I liked on here. I loved the icy, almost mechanical-sounding synths on Friend, Please and the darker sound of Trapdoor. I'll also say that A Car, a Torch, A Death and Taxicab is a great and extremely well-written 1-2 punch. March to the Sea surprised the bloody hell out of me by keeping my attention with minimal instrumentation. Aircatcher is bloody gorgeous, as is Oh Ms. Believer, and Isle of Flightless Birds is just as much of a genre-bending masterpiece as you lot have been saying. That said, Before You Start Your Day, Implicit Demand for Proof, Johnny Boy, The Pantaloon, Addict with a Pen, and Fall Away are incredibly boring. In other words, it's a mostly great album, though I'd argue it's on the low end of great. 8 out of 10.
Wow, so far we all either like it or are indifferent to it. I can agree with that. On one hand, I agree with Archibald that the darker sound on Trapdoor and icy synths on Friend, Please are amazing. A Car, a Torch, A Death and Isle of Flightless Birds are great hip-hop songs. Aircatcher and Oh Ms. Believer are gorgeous, and Taxicab is an artistic masterpiece. On the other hand, songs like Implicit, Demand for Proof, Fall Away, The Pantaloon, Addict with a Pen, March to the Sea, Johnny Boy, and Before You Start Your Day are incredibly boring. So yeah, half of this album is great, half of it is mediocre. That balances out to good, but not great. 7 out of 10.
This album is absolutely gorgeous. Songs like Aircatcher, Oh Mims Believer, March to the Sea, Implicit Demand for Proof, Johnny Boy, Trapdoor, Fall Away, The Pantaloon, Addict with a Pen, Taxicab, A Car, A Torch, A Death, and Isle of Flightless Birds are absolutely beautiful. I wasn't a big fan of the robotic synths on Friend Please, mostly because they didn't fit the mood of the song. I also agree that Before You Start Your Day isn't great, though it's more because of the clumsy writing than it being boring. Overall, I give this an 8 out of 10.
While I appreciate the classical influence on some of these songs, I hate Tyler's vocals and the production sounds awful. Songs like Johnny Boy, Isle of Flightless Birds, The Pantaloon, Fall Away, Addict with a Pen, Implicit Demand for Proof, March to the Sea, Trapdoor, Taxicab, A Car, A Torch, A Death, and Friend, Please are utterly ruined by their production. The only ones that aren't are Aircatcher and Oh Miss Believer, which are beautiful, and Before You Start Your Day, which is boring. 5 out of 10. This could have been good, though.
When I first ranked this discography on our Rate Your Music account, I gave it a 7. That said, after re-listening to it a couple of times for this video, it has grown on me. I still say Implicit Demand for Proof and Before You Start Your Day are really boring, but every other song is at least decent. My favorites would have to be The Pantaloon and March to the Sea, which are both great storytelling tracks, Addict with a Pen and Friend, Please, which are delightfully emotional, the gorgeous Oh Miss Believer and Aircatcher, and the trio of artsy masterpieces that are A Car, A Torch, A Death, Taxicab, and Isle of Flightless Birds. As for Fall Away and Trapdoor, they're pretty good, and Johnny Boy is decent. So yeah, this just went from a 7 to an 8 out of 10.
To my surprise, I enjoyed this. Oh Miss Believer and Aircatcher are gorgeous. Taxicab and A Car, A Torch. A Death are both really interesting. Addict with a Pen is heartbreaking, as is Friend, Please, and I really like the storytelling on March to the Sea. Johnny Boy and Implicit Demand for Proof are both gorgeous, and I don't get the hate for those. Isle of Flightless Birds is a masterpiece, and I like the darker sound of Trapdoor. The Pantaloon also has some great storytelling, though I hate the way that one sounds. I will admit that Before You Start Your Day is really boring, though, and I thought Fall Away was just okay. Great album, 8 out of 10.
I see we're on a streak of 8s right now. Well, I'm gonna break that streak. The rapping on this album sucks, as does the singing, and the production does too. On top of that, over half of the songs are boring. The 6 that aren't boring include the annoying Fall Away, Isle of Flightless Birds, A Car, A Torch, A Death, The Pantaloon, and Friend, Please, as well as the admittedly good Aircatcher. Everything else puts me to sleep. 5 out of 10.
Will that put a damper on the mood fast? AOC, you are such a buzzkill.
No, I don't kill buzzes. I create them. I'm a party girl.
Are you sure you're not a bumblebee?
Very funny. Can we move on to the next person before Sarah gets any more random?
I'm torn on this one. On one hand, I find Oh Miss Believer, Fall Away, Aircatcher, Addict with a Pen, Trapdoor, Taxicab, Implicit Demand for Proof, and March to the Sea to be absolutely gorgeous. I also think The Pantaloon and Johnny Boy are incredibly relatable, as well as just sounding great. Unfortunately, that dog whistle-like sound on A Car, A Torch, A Death really annoyed me. Before You Start Your Day was poorly written. I hated the robotic synths on Friend, Please, and Isle of Flightless Birds sounds awful. I don't know why you guys like it so much. It's a good album overall, but it could have been better. 7 out of 10.
Let me start by getting one thing out of the way. I'm a black metal fan. I like rough production, but it just doesn't work with this indie baroque pop style that these guys are going for. Songs like Addict with a Pen, The Pantaloon, and Fall Away could have been great if the production wasn't so awful. Then there are songs like Implicit Demand for Proof, March to the Sea, Johnny Boy, Taxicab, and Before You Start Your Day, which are just plain boring. Aircatcher is also really cheesy, and I don't know why you guys like it so much. That said, Isle of Flightless Birds, A Car, A Torch, A Death, Oh Miss Believer, Trapdoor, and Friend, Please are all good to great songs. It has its highlights, but but it's not a good album. 6 out of 10.
Wow, that's more positive than I thought you would be, Michelle.
Same here.
I know a lot of people look at 21 Pilots as a sad band, but honestly, I view them as more hopeful. Songs like Johnny Boy, Isle of Flightless Birds, and Friend, Please in particular, are all about overcoming the struggles that life throws at you. While this isn't my favorite album from them, mostly because of the production, I still really enjoy their message of hope. Aircatcher is a beautiful love song. Fall Away and Trapdoor are a lot darker, but serve as a reminder that the listener isn't the only one suffering. And the storytelling on March to the Sea, The Pantaloon, A Car, a Torch, a Death, and Taxi Cab is immaculate. Oh, Ms. Believer and Addict with a Pen are gorgeous too. The only tracks I don't care for are Before You Start Your Day, which is pleasant if a little boring, and Implicit Demand for Proof, which feels a bit underwritten. Other than that, this album is great, 9 out of 10.
This album is a mixed bag. On one hand, you've got songs like A Car, a Torch, a Death, Taxi Cab, and Isle of Flightless Birds, which are artistic masterpieces, Aircatcher and Omen's Believer, which are gorgeous, as well as Trapdoor and Friend, Please, which are delightfully twisted. Everything else is boring, and I can't wait until we get to the point in the timeline where they don't do as many ballads. Anyway, since there's nothing terrible on it, I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
It's not my favorite 21 Pilots album, but I do like it a lot. There are a lot of beautiful songs on here, such as Implicit Demand for Proof, Fall Away, The Pantaloon, Addict with a Pen, March to the Sea, Johnny Boy, Aircatcher, Trapdoor, A Car, a Torch, a Death, Taxi Cab, Isle of Flightless Birds, and especially Omen's Believer. Friend Please is great as well, if only for its amazing anti-suicide message. Before You Start Your Day is pleasant, but that's about it. Great album, 8 out of 10.
Yay. Hopefully, Ilhan ends this on a positive note.
Hey, no putting pressure on Ilhan to give a good review.
There are some great songs on here. Fall Away, Trapdoor, A Car, a Torch, a Death, Isle of Flightless Birds, Oh Miss Believer, Addict with a Pen, Taxi Cab, and Friend, Please are all great. Aircatcher is cute if a bit cheesy. That said, Implicit Demand for Proof, Johnny Boy, Before You Start Your Day, and The Pantaloon are pretty boring. March to the Sea has great lyrics, but is really boring musically. There's enough good here to make it great, but I'd say it's on the low end of great. I'll agree with Laura and give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay, could someone who's better at math than I am do the tallying?
I can do it. That's 1 4, 8 5, 6 6, 5 7s, 8 8s, 9 9s, and 2 10s. Altogether, that's 280 out of 390, which averages out to a solid 7 out of 10. Good but not great. Now, let's rank it.
Okay, here's the rankings. As of right now, we're all putting the self-titled at number 1 because we haven't talked about any of the other albums. When that happens, I pretty much guarantee that it won't be at number 1 for all of us. It might not be number 1 for any of us, for that matter.
Yeah, except Miranda and Jeanette maybe.
Yeah, it's weird how Jeanette and I are the only ones that gave this a 10.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Great minds think alike, I guess.
All right, we all have it at number 1 as of right now. Isn't that satisfying to look at?
Yeah, it is. It looks so orderly.
And accurate.
Hey, something else might come along and get a 10 as well. We don't know yet.
Point taken.
Glad we're all happy for now. I'm betting that will change when we talk about regional at best.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our video. Don't forget to do all that YouTube algorithm stuff. Again, I'm Laura Ingram, and these guys are Sarah Palin, Michelle Bachmann, Ann Coulter, Megan Kelly, Marjorie Green, Lauren Boebert, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Presley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Paris Hilton, Alex Trebek, Pat Sajak, Vanna White, Ken Jennings, James Holzhauer, Brad Rutter, Anne Frank, Mindy McCready, Greta Thunberg, Ponyboy Curtis, Soda Pop Curtis, Derry Curtis, Steve Randall, 2-Bit Matthews, Dally Winston, Johnny Cade, Phileas Fogg, Megan Phelps Roper, Ellen Ripley, Jeanette McCurdy, Miranda Cosgrove, Archie Bunker, Lionel Frost, and Archibald Snatcher. And this is Team Counterculture signing off.